Hi, my name is Thompson. Welcome to Abbozzo Gallery here in 401 Richmond. This exhibition is entitled Semblance of Place and mixes a series of etchings that I have been creating over the last 4+ years. My practice involves pulling together a lot of different sources from sites that I have visited. So these will be often I pull from construction sites and I'm drawn to places that are kind of in states of change, in states of flux. And I find that there's this fascinating kind of beautiful wealth of detail within these otherwise kind of purely practical environments where each thing is placed in a certain position because it's handy or convenient, but there's something kind of aesthetically interesting and compelling about that sort of almost ad hoc quality to space. And so I will pull together a bunch of disparate images from all of these different sites that I visit, and these get collaged together into these final images that get drawn onto the copper plates. I work primarily on copper plate. I used to work here in 401 Richmond at Open Studio, which is just down the hall from Abbozzo Gallery. And now I'm based in Edmonton, so I practice at Society of Northern Alberta Print Artists, or SNAP, which is a fabulous printmaking community out in Edmonton. And they have a lovely array of presses and different sort of creatives all working and sharing the same space. Not dissimilar to Open Studio here in Toronto. And it's one of the kind of beautiful things about printmaking practice is that it does end up being quite sort of dependent on sharing these resources that as individual artists you often can't access. And so there's sort of a social element that kind of naturally comes about within the print studio. Which is sort of in stark contrast to the subject matter that I work with, which has a tendency to be fairly sparsely populated at its busiest. So this piece that we're standing in front of right now is entitled San Pietro Overshadowed. And the central kind of structure within the etching is the San Pietro Basilica in Venice. And this is an 8th century church that, when it was constructed, was kind of the hub of religious activity within Venice. And over the centuries, it has sort of been added to and burned down and been rebuilt and been added to again. And then during the 1800s, there was kind of a lull of activity, and it for a chunk of time was not quite abandoned, but it certainly fell into extreme disrepair, and has since been renovated and adapted. And as I'm looking at these sort of historical structures, I'm interested in sort of the place that they hold within the kind of community structure or social structure of the, not just the city in which they're directly placed, but also the way that forms part of a network of interactions between different spaces across urban environments. So in the case of this work, the basilica has been kind of collaged into a space, a market space in Venice, along with a few other locations. So Thompson is actually a part of the University of Alberta, and parts of it have kind of pulled together all of these disparate geographies. Within sort of the work in the exhibition, it's important to me that each etching be made from a series of different images of sites that I myself have visited. And so it in some ways becomes this sort of way of mapping a personal trajectory at the same time as this sort of urban environment that is in constant flux. One set of works in the exhibition is entitled Working Documents, and they are a series of inkjet prints, they're photographic, and they are the kind of core elements that make up some of the larger etched images. And so I think it's interesting to be able to sort of track the relationship between these little source images and then these larger kind of networks that they form part of. yeah, so hopefully as you visit the exhibition and have a chance to kind of meander through these sort of dark and vaguely unsettling urban environments, that there is sort of a sense of reflection and contemplation of like how your own personal experiences have kind of shaped your impression of all of the architectural sites that you end up interacting with, like what makes a particular building familiar for you, or you know, what are the key standouts of like as you're on your commute home, and like what buildings do you always note and what things are familiar, and by extension what buildings have changed dramatically that you maybe don't notice. And so hopefully that sort of there's a sense of a deeper kind of curiosity around your own urban environment. And yeah, the exhibition runs until July 6th. So please drop by Abbozzo Gallery and have a look. And thank you.